Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It is a beautiful Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. We welcome our branch CEOs to our morning Zoom webinars. Each of you are the owner, the CEO, the boss with a capital B of your branch office. And together, what we do is we help build the financial literacy and provide access to capital to small businesses. That is a very much honorable, it's a very much needed resource. But what we know is often we run into an objection or a challenge. Not that there's not enough small businesses that want and need funding, but often there's a disconnect. The typical small business owner is just saying, just get me money, and get it as soon as possible. What they're often overlooking is that you need to be fundable. You need to meet the underwriting criteria. It's the same if you wanted to buy a house, right? You can't just say, I'm tired of renting, give me a house. Well, unless you have the money to buy the house, you need to get a mortgage. How do you get a mortgage? You apply for it, you qualify, and you receive it. So that's the way funding works. A lot of people don't know what you and I know, therefore, our ability to connect with the prospect and educate the prospect on what we do is the difference between you being profitable and them getting funding. So what is it that you and I do? We help create fundable businesses. Why is that important? Because there's a lot of businesses that want funding, but most of them, literally most of them, are not fundable. So when it comes to that topic, I mean, that's simple enough to say, but unless we can maybe show it to the prospective participant, it may be hard for them to understand because you're giving them new information. So I want to thank those of you that work with us to put together, I think, a relatively simple one-page graphic, but I think it does the trick pretty well. So thanks to those of you who have helped us put this together. We'll provide this to you in editable format so you can change it. You can change anything that you want about it, quite frankly, but certainly you'll want to change the call to action in the bottom left-hand corner, and you may want to put your logo, if applicable, in the bottom right. So let's go through what this is and maybe how to use it to frankly make more money in your branch, to enroll more clients by connecting the dots in your prospects' minds of they've got a problem, you and I have a solution, this is how it works. So it's titled The 4 Phases of the Startup Business Funding Program. You might, and again, we'll give you an editable version, just email us if you want and we'll send you an editable version. We developed this in PowerPoint. So if you don't have PowerPoint, I'm not sure that you'll be able to edit it, but you could get PowerPoint Office 365 for a free demo if needed. But there was some discussion on the title because, you know, our main tagline is, do you need money to start or grow a business? And then secondly, is your business fundable? So that's kind of our normal tagline. Here we're taking a little bit of a softer approach and just frankly titling this, which is what we're describing, the 4 phases. Now, this is also helpful for current clients because sometimes you'll have current clients that say, well, what's next? Or I don't understand what we're doing. This is the roadmap. So on the left-hand side, what we attempted to do, and it's largely from the website, it's largely from the agreement template you have. So I don't think it's new information, it's just restated. Because what we're making the assumption is that the prospect hasn't seen anything but this. So we described that available through a U.S. startup grant, the Startup Business Funding Program is a turnkey resource to form a new business position for fast funding. Now, again, you and I know if they have an existing business, fine, we'll work with it, but it's designed to go from the ground up. So in other words, they don't have to have anything in place, but if they do have a business, an EIN, an address, whatever, we can work off of that. So then we proceed to the bullets. So let's go through the bullets of what are the deliverables. Bullet number 1, immediate funding offers. This is what you and I call first tranche financing, right? Immediate funding offers. Get working capital funds now while we build a fundable business for you. I think that's really important because a lot of the small businesses are going to have an immediate need. And in general, in our society, what do people want, right? They want immediate results. Well, it's too good to be true to think that we can suddenly create a fundable business. That does take 30 to 60 days to go through these phases, right? But with that being said, we can certainly help them get their first tranche of financing right away. And so we've added that to be the first bullet on the list because I think for a lot of folks, that's what they want. Sure, they want 100, 200,000, whatever it is of business funding, but many of them need some immediacy of working capital. The second bullet is we provide a unique business address. It's not a shared address. Why is that important? Because lenders care, and often we won't qualify for larger business loans if we don't have a good address. Residential doesn't work, post office boxes don't work, shared virtual offices don't work. We provide for free the filing with the Secretary of State. And so again, you see free, free, free. People like free. And those are free elements. So free filing with the Secretary of State. Now, if they already have a business, of course, we don't need to do that step, but it is available and included for free. Then getting the EIN and business bank account. So these bullets here, well, let's go all the way up. These first 4 bullets essentially are what we call phase 1. So let's pause from going through this vertical and go over to the graphic. So phase 1, we must have the foundation of a credible business or we'll never get business funding. So it needs to start with this. Now, granted, they may bring this to the table, which makes us move even faster, but we have to have the foundation of a fundable business if we want business funding. Now, if we want personal loans, of course, it doesn't matter. And so that's where it's just restated. Phase 1, foundation, first tranche financing, which matches there, providing a credible address, matches there, entity formation, EIN bank account. So phase 1 is what comes first. When clients enroll, we want them to start seeing tangible benefits immediately because that creates enthusiasm, right? So we'll be getting them that address immediately, filing with the Secretary of State. We just processed a bunch of businesses already this morning. So on a daily basis, we're filing, I would say, an average of 75 to 100 new businesses a day we're forming. And we want to do that quickly. Again, if they need the first tranche. So phase 1 is the foundational elements, and those are really the first 4 bullets. So let's pause there for a moment. Who has questions, thoughts, concerns about phase 1? Just phase 1. Let's not talk about the other phases yet because we're not there yet. So we use Q&A. It's question and answer. It's like a chat box in Zoom. Anyone have any questions about what we do? Timothy asks, and that's a great question. So again, we do all the work. That's the beauty of this relationship we have with you. As a distribution partner, you're the smart one. You're out doing community awareness and community engagement and getting the clients enrolled. And then our staff does all the work. We do all the work. So instead of you having to ask, well, what's the mechanics of what needs to be done through these 4 phases, you don't have to do the work. You're developing the clients. That's the important part. We're the worker bees. So we'll do the implementation. All right, so Marilyn has the first question. Is all of phase 1 done in the first day? I don't want to commit to that because I don't think that's accurate. So let's just go out and say, no, that doesn't all happen. We start it on day 1, but for instance, what happens is when a client is enrolled, we send them a setup form via email. We copy you. and they complete that, and that tells us, do they want us to form a new business or not? Because maybe they don't. If so, what do they want that entity name to be? So do we start on phase one right away, Marilyn? Absolutely. But no, it's logistically impossible to get all of this done in the first day. But let me spin her question a little bit differently. In general, how long does the first phase take? This normally will be done in the first 7 days, the first week. So we can get them funding offers right away. We can get them funding offers. We'll go as far as to say as quick as today, we can get them funding offers. But that funding typically will take a day or two to receive. So I think the best way to look at this is, on average, phase one is completed in the first week. I think that's the best way to look at it, or about a week. Elliot asked the second question, which is a good one, which is, do we ask them how much they want for their first tranche? And the answer is no. You might say, well, that seems bizarre, because without any hard inquiries, Elliot, we're getting them offers for what they qualify for. So they get the offers, they can accept what they want, decline what they don't. The typical client will get 6 to 8 offers. Normally, it's not above 100,000. A lot of times, it's not above 75,000. So we're just looking at some initial working capital here off that first bullet. It's not the end result. It's just, what do they qualify for now? Okay, moving on. So now we're over to phase two and going down back in the list. So we summarize it in one bullet here. Free assistance. How much does it cost? Free. Free assistance in building business credit, including free primary trade lines. So we can go over to the graphic now. So we expand on it a little bit more on this phase. So business creditworthiness is the second thing that we want to do. We want to start phase two as quickly as possible. We do phase two before phase three for one reason, is that phase two takes the longest time. Not a long time, but it's the longest time of the 30 to 60 day process. Thus, the sooner that we start it, the sooner that we can have those trade lines reporting. So we describe it first, create a strong business credit profile to qualify for business funding. So that's why we do phase two. We establish the credit profiles. Now, those two words, that's a bit of an oversimplification, but for instance, with Dun & Bradstreet and Experian business, we're getting, let's go to Dun & Bradstreet. So we're getting a Dunn's number. We're creating that profile, and then we're adding trade lines to create a PAYDEX score of at least an 80. So there's obviously more detail, but if you're just trying to explain briefly to your prospective client what happens in phase two, it's this. We're going to make your business creditworthy, legally and ethically. So on paper, it looks like it's low risk to lenders. And we do that by establishing your credit profiles and adding trade lines. This adding trade lines generates a lot of excitement. There's different types of trade lines that can be added, and we work with the clients to create a trade line mix that meets their specific needs. So they're not forced to take trade lines that they don't want. Examples would be real estate trade lines. Well, those are great, right? Because those are big ticket items. Because what you and I know is when it comes to trade lines, the bigger the better. So real estate's one option. It's not the most common, quite frankly, but it's certainly a real option. Company automobiles and even equipment in general, but company automobiles is a really popular one. We can buy company vehicles in the business name. So it's not reporting on personal credit. It is reporting on business credit. We do this frequently. Literally today, we're going to go pick up our new company vehicle or second company vehicle. So it absolutely works. We'll send you pictures if you want. So if any of you need a company vehicle, we can get you a company vehicle. If your clients need a company vehicle, we can facilitate that. But this isn't about selling cars. It is, though, a trade line, a primary trade line, and often it's a large trade line. Now, here's the catch when it comes to company vehicles. We typically need, I'm wording it wrong. We need to be aware that if we're trying to get a company vehicle that's above 200,000, it is difficult. So today we're picking up a Porsche 911, freaking beautiful. I'll send you pictures. About 150,000. So stay below 200,000 per vehicle and we're okay. Above 200,000, unless it's a specialty use vehicle. You know, if you're buying a heavy duty dump truck that's $250,000, a little bit of a different animal. But if we're talking about general use company autos, 200,000 and below. But the general rule is bigger the better because it's a bigger trade line. Do clients have to get company automobiles? Of course not. Of course not. But they're real and they're valuable. And then, of course, business credit cards. I can't imagine anyone saying, no, my business doesn't need at least one business credit card. Why wouldn't you want to have a business credit card? So that way, if you're taking a trip and you categorize it as a business trip, then you're using your business credit card to pay for the hotel and meals and so forth. I just can't imagine why someone would have an argument, no, I don't want a business automobile. Or I'm sorry, business credit card. So in all cases, these primary trade lines are trade lines that report under the EIN of the business to build business creditworthiness. Who has questions on phase 2? So we said phase 1 typically completed in a week. That's about accurate. This takes a little bit longer. However, we don't have to wait for this all to be completed to start phase 3, but we want to get it started. Who has questions on phase 2? Okay, I think we're good. So now we're over here to the second to the last bullet, which ties to phase 3. Now we're ready to go build the business's financials. So we said the importance of phase 1 is we need a credible business to build a fundable business, the foundation. Secondly, we need phase 2. We need a business that shows on paper that it's credible, that it pays its bills as promised, that it has a strong business credit profile. So we talked a bit about how we do that. Now we're on phase 3. Let's build strong business financials. This is where you might get a little pushback because financially illiterate people will say, oh no, this is a new business. I don't have that. I don't need that. And they don't know. Just give them a big hug because it's like when your 3-year-old child says something that's ludicrous. It's like, that's okay, Timmy. Let me explain to you the way it really works. Sure, you need strong business financials. We're looking at building a fundable business, and it's ignorant, it's mistaken at least, to think, oh, the financials don't matter. It's also wrong to think that a new business can't have strong financials. That's absolutely not true. So in phase 3, we're creating creating strong business financials to qualify for business funding. That's kind of implied, but just restating it again to clarify to the reader. This is where we'll do the 10,000 transfer. So in the agreement, we promise, and we will, to transfer $10,000 to every participant. It is outstanding. So we call that quick cash. That's referenced over here. So this is when that normally happens because now we're building out the financials, including the balance sheet. Again, sadly, some of these clients don't even know what a balance sheet is. So there's opportunities to educate, right? So balance sheets shows the business's assets, things that it owns, O-W-N, like real estate, like company autos. And then its debts, things that it owes. Those are called liabilities. So we are going to create a strong balance sheet. And then also we're going to help them liquidate receivables to turn those into cash. So this is a bit more complicated than everything else. But again, We handle the implementation, so it's not to your burden to have to operationalize. Okay. Any questions on phase 3? Any questions on phase 3? Sometimes the question that I'll get is people will confuse this with phase 2. So trade lines are extensions of credit. This is not an extension of credit. This is just an asset. So it's not an extension of credit. Marilyn's asking about the time frame for phase 3. Okay, so let's go back. So normally we can get this done in the first week. Again, we'll start right away, so they see benefits right away. So don't be a pessimist and say, "Oh my God, it's going to take a week." Well, we're going to get started right away. We can get them offers right away. Normally, their first tranche will fund within a week. We can do normally all of this within a week. This is the longest part, but we're actively working on it. Right? It's just like so many things in life. You can't just hit a button and get instant results. We have to go through the process. Here, it's a different process, but we're building out the financials. So then at that point, now we're ready to go to phase 4. We're ready to go to funding. Now, I know that many clients will just say, well, can't we just skip phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3? That sounds confusing. I just want funding. Well, great. If your business is fundable now, then you already have completed those 3 phases. Maybe not consciously, but you already have those things. And that happens sometimes. In some cases, you'll bring clients on and they have the foundation done. So we skip it. Some cases, they already have a creditworthy business. Great. So we skip phase 2, move on forward. In some cases, not very often, they already have strong financials. Great. Then you're right. Then in that case, we are ready to go on to funding. That's beautiful when that happens. But it's quite rare that a client has all of these elements met. Now, these elements that we talk about are not just marketing bullets or pitches. They are specifically what's needed to have a fundable business. It's the checklist. All right, so Elliot's asking about receivables. So when we transfer the $10,000 of quick cash, those are accounts receivables. They're assets. They're real assets that are transferred over. We help them put them on their balance sheet so they have collateral for the loan. And then we help them liquidate the receivables to turn into cash. And so let's use an example. And we've gone through this before, but Jenny's online here. And congratulations, Jenny. Jenny signed somewhere between 7 and 9 new clients yesterday. So in one day, Jenny did 7 to 9 new deals, which is awesome. Congratulations, Jenny. But let's say that Jenny is a client and, no, we're using an example. So Jenny and I decided to go out and start a landscaping business. We go get a contract with an apartment complex. Jenny and I go put our t-shirts and shorts on. We go out and we mow the grass and we hand a bill to the property manager for $500. That's an example of an accounts receivable. So Jenny and I went, mowed, now the apartment complex owes us. But let's say that Elliot says, hey, I don't want to go mow. I just want the receivables. I just want the note. So Elliot could buy the note from Jenny and I, and now the apartment complex owes Elliot the $500. That's what accounts receivables are. So what we're doing legally and ethically is transferring over $10,000 to the client. So they have strong financials, so they have collateral for loans. But does the client ultimately want just $10,000 of AR? Probably not. I mean, it's good, it's great, it meets the collateral requirements, but they would probably rather have cash than AR. They would like to collect the money from the apartment complex. So that's what we can do, is help them liquidate. So hopefully that makes sense. It's not meant to be confusing. Any of you that have a business background at all understand the term accounts receivables. That's what we're doing, is transferring accounts receivables. Now, when we're over here talking about first tranche, this is not AR, this is cash. When we're over here talking about business funding, this is not AR, it's cash. But when we're building financials, we're transferring AR to put on the balance sheet so we have collateral, then we can turn around and help liquidate those receivables. So, Selena, hopefully that helps. So with that being said, if you would like a copy of this, then simply email us. You should have received a reminder. You should have received multiple reminders to attend today's training because we think it's a very important one. But you can reply back and we can send you an editable version of this. All of you that are current branches, we should be having weekly one-on-ones, right? To review where are you at? How's it working? What can we do better? What's the status of your clients? Now, a few of you have one-on-one scheduled today, and some of those are disrupted because of travel. We got to go pick up the new company car. But the bottom line is weekly, we should have a call. Your branch, you're the CEO of your branch. That's where we started the call. Your branch should be profitable, number one. Why are you running a business that's not profitable? That's bizarre. Secondly, your branch should be generating at least $100,000 a month, at least 1.2 million a year. If it's not, something's wrong, something's broken. And so Jenny or I or someone that's successful needs to show you, help you fix those problems, because an unprofitable business is not a good business. So the weekly calls are important. With that being said, let us know if you need any assistance with anything. Your success is our success. We'll see you back tomorrow morning, and just let us know what we can do for you. Have a great day.